But we're going to focus on our pets now. And I think seeing a bond form between your little one and their four-legged friend is one of the most beautiful things, but it needs to be a positive experience for both parties. So we've got a bit of a do and a don't when it comes to teaching your kids how to handle your pets.
Many of us have fond memories growing up with our family dogs and cats and playing in the garden after school, watching TV in the evenings, or walking through the park. And it's sometimes hard to think of a childhood moment that doesn't involve our beloved furry friends. Now, while there are many benefits of having pets in the family with young kids around, parental involvement and open discussions are vital. And we have Marika Ackers, nutritional advisor for Hills Pet Nutrition, in studio to guide us on how to teach the kids about responsibility when it comes to pet ownership. Marika, good morning.
Good morning, Zoe. How are you?
I'm doing good. You know, I love this discussion because I have always grown up with pets in the family. In your personal opinion, how important is it for kids to grow up with a pet around?
Well, I think it's incredibly important, but as you said, there's some boundaries that need to be kept. So it's for me, it's not buying a pet necessarily for the child, but having pets around them. It teaches them compassion and empathy. It boosts their immune system because they get exposed to all kinds of bugs. It's self-esteem. You know, all those kind of things are really important to develop with a child, and it's their best friend often.
Yeah, you know, there are so many benefits to having a pet, but one of the things, our rules were we were not allowed to have a pet unless we were in charge of it. So how important is it for parents to, you know, teach their children this responsibility of looking after their own pets?
It's very important. I do think ultimately the parent stays responsible and keeps an eye on the kid for doing all the things that they need to be doing. But it's very important that they teach them as to how to manage their pets, make sure that they are fed properly, kept clean, grooming, those kind of fun things that they also need to do. And then games. It's important that they know how to look after them. And it teaches them major responsibility.
Now, when it comes to different pet personalities and different pet types for families with young children, which would you say are better suited for those families?
You know, I think for very young children, cats are actually a good idea as pets because they're not that intrusive, they don't take a lot of time, so that they're probably more suited to young children. When it comes to dog breeds, it's kind of difficult to assess what the right thing is to do because they, you know, big dogs are often too boisterous with young little children, especially when they're young. And small dogs can often be snappy towards children. So it's definitely, one has to consider what the lifestyle of the family is and then what the disposition of that specific pet is and how tolerant it is of little people, because they often see little people and big people as something completely different.
Okay. And when do you think is the best time to introduce a pet to the family?
I actually think before there are kids,
Okay.
because then the pet is not as boisterous and not as active and doesn't, I always say, take a golden retriever puppy. When you get it, it weighs 8 kilos. It's often just as much as the young child in the house. So if they jump up, the kid's going to fall. There's chaos and screaming. This excites the dog even more, or the puppy even more. So, you know, these things have to be considered. It's not meant to say it can't happen, because it certainly can if the parents are responsible in teaching their child how to manage having a puppy around.
And before we say goodbye, I have to ask you, you know, owning your pet is one thing, but what are your personal do's and don'ts when it comes to having a pet?
I think when it comes to children and pets, the important thing to remember is to teach your child some rules regarding pets. So like the first thing is when there's they see another dog or cat, ask the owner if they can pet it, because not all of them are friendly.
Yeah.
When they do come into contact, stand like a tree or a statue and look up so there's no eye contact. Don't look a dog directly in the eye. You know, when they pet them and stroke them, be gentle and let the dog make contact first. Don't go and make contact with the dog.
Oh, well, Marika, thank you so much for sharing those do's and don'ts. I've learned something new. Allow the dog to come and make contact first. Because you see a cute dog and you're like, oh my gosh, can I touch your doggy? Okay. Marika, thank you so much for sharing those wonderful do's and don'ts. And while there are many benefits of having pets in the family with young kids around, it's still very important for our approach to remain responsible.
When he's healthier, he's happier. And a dog's tail never lies. Give him the science of happy, found in Hills, the brand recommended by vets worldwide.